Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the Leadership Doctors, Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. REAL stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. The Leadership Doctors alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
Happy Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 142 of the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own Leadership Doctors, HERS, home of the Resilience Framework. I'm Dr. Sheka Houston.
Good morning, and I am Dr. Tammy Taylor. Good morning, Sheka, and good morning, REALL family.
Good morning, Tammy. Yes, good morning, everyone. Tammy is off location today. She is at one of her Skika meetings. So we are pre-recorded again today because normally we would do the roll call here. But instead of the roll call, just tell us with an emoji or a testimonial in the comments, because we're going to go back and read them, how you have kept it real this week. And Tammy and I have been keeping it real. We're preparing for the Coach Fest conference that is coming up in September in Charlotte, North Carolina. That if you are in this area, we hope that you'll be able to join us. We are preparing for some leadership retreats that we'll be hosting with some districts here in South Carolina. I'll be emceeing some of the AVID Summer Institutes. So those of you who are AVID schools, I will see you at least 2 Summer Institutes, and I'll also be a staff developer at one of those. And we are also preparing for the Rock Conference that is coming up in Houston, Texas. If you haven't registered, please get registered. It is July 18th through the 21st. Tammy is presenting and getting prepared for 2 superintendent presentations in Tennessee and Kentucky. She's going to be talking about her school turnaround that happened at her school, and she's going to be talking about the strategies that she used there. And she's also preparing for her state position in the elementary organization that she is a part of, Skika, right, Tammy?
Yes.
So we will be helping a lot of people keep it real this summer.
Yes, and we're going to be helping those folks using our framework that connects the research of Dr. Ron Edmonds and puts it into those correlates that he came up with for effective schools, putting those correlates into terminology that easily allows leaders to organize the tasks that they have to do around their school, around those principles. Teachers can organize their classroom tasks around the principles, and students can even organize themselves around those same principles. So we will be working, as Sheka said, with lots and lots of folks this summer to make sure that that framework is something that helps them allow them to move to the next level.
Definitely. So ultimately, what you have is a school speaking the same language around proven principles to success, creating resilience and success. And that's why we call it our resilience framework. We have posters for your hallways and classrooms, and also for your school that makes it the ultimate school climate transformation system. It really is a lot of the answers to the test. And shout out to the schools that are already working with us, and we are looking for more schools. So please contact us today. And just to recap what has transpired this past week, And some of you who follow me on social media know that I was stuck in Dallas for a few days. And during one of those days, I did get to visit the Jaguars, Josh's school, MPA, and they have a fantastic staff. He has a fantastic program, lots of phenomenal things going on. If you are ever in Garland, Texas, or near there, stop by and visit Principal Josh Tovar. He is doing great things. And when we were back, once I did make it back, Principal Kafele visited our district and gave our parents and mentors just an incredible um, information about mentoring and helping students. And then he came over to our district to speak with the assistant principals and principals. So we have been on fire ever since then. It was very great information, very rejuvenating. Everybody knows that Principal Kafele brings the fire. So we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it was great to have that time with them, with the peers, with our colleagues, because we feel like we get to benefit from his wisdom so often. But just being there with colleagues from our district was a very rewarding experience because you. And well, of course, we were so proud. Like,
Yes.
go ahead, do it, Principal Capela.
Mhm.
But it just feels good to learn with your peers from the best of the best.
Most definitely. So that brings us to our topic for today, episode 142, Real Strategies for Students. And this is from a student. We have a very special guest with us today who is going to interject that student voice. That was something I got to witness at Josh's school during my visit. So I'm going to bring her up. She's our media intern, Miss Lizzie Houston. And when you come off mute, Lizzie, say hi.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Lizzie.
honey.
So Lizzie's very familiar with our framework because she is our media intern, and all of the real moments that you see, she is the person that is putting those together. So she's familiar with it from that aspect, and because she sees it all around the house. This is my oldest daughter, Lizzie Houston. So, Lizzie, we're talking about keeping it real from the student's perspective, and you're going to give us some advice from a student's perspective about keeping it real. So, let me get to the banners. We're going to start off with respect. What were your thoughts around respect and how teachers and any adult can help students in the area of respect or relate to students in that area?
I feel like that students would feel respected when adults when some adults be patient with them more
Mhm. Mhm.
and they don't yell at them because it kind of makes us feel like they don't care about us more.
Mm.
So to build that way it'll help build a connection with them more.
Oh, build a connection. Awesome. So now I'll be talking from two hats, and Tammy will be chiming in as well. Because I remember growing up, my mom, when she would yell, would say, "See, y'all don't listen when I talk nice." So it is not good for adults to yell. I agree with you. Um, but also, it is important for students and children to follow directions so that people don't get frustrated. I think that sometimes when adults yell, it's out of frustration, but we should not allow ourselves to get to that point. We do need to come up with some strategies.
Yeah, if frustration doesn't give a license for yelling, not at
Hmm.
children or adults, because I don't want anybody yelling at me. either. So I don't yell at anybody because I don't want that reciprocated to me. So I try to speak to people in the manner that I want to be spoken to. And so, Lizzie, I think that's a point well taken for
Mhm.
us as adults, so that as we are feeling ourselves get to that point of frustration, we do have coping mechanisms in place. Like I've told teachers before, if you feel yourself getting to the point of exploding, just call somebody to give you a break to get away from that, so that kids don't feel like they aren't connected with you. Because I do think that many times teachers yell, it isn't because they don't care. And I know that's
Mhm.
probably how you feel, but it's not that they are not caring about their children. I think it's because, as your mom said, they're frustrated and just kind of have had it. Like, and you didn't listen when I was speaking to you nicely, like Miss Beverly has said. So I think that was a very, very great point for the R portion of our real framework. What do you think about excellence? How can it be kept real with the excellence portion of the framework?
I feel like students would do better on their tests and assignments if like some teachers would tell them how they can improve, and instead of saying like, "Oh, you did such a good job," and like praising them more, like tell us how we can improve so that way we'll know we'll get a better score next time, you know?
I love that because that's a very important part of our teaching rubric for South Carolina. Um, Feedback, academic feedback is something that is expected to be given to students, and not just generic, oh, awesome job. And it just amazes me to hear that from a student perspective, that's what you want. You want someone to tell you something that's going to help you get better. You're such a
Yeah.
scholar, Lizzie.
She is, and I love that too, because a lot of times we think that that empty feedback is something that's encouraging to students, and I guess it does probably encourage to a point, but
Yeah.
then to a point you want to know, well, what are constructive ways that I can also improve, even though I did may have done well on this. What are some ways that I can improve in areas? So it's a very Lizzie's in the sixth grade, so I think it's very mature of her to want constructive feedback and not just the normal encouraging, always positive feedback that sometimes we give on papers when students are doing a good job. We put just those things. I remember going to a conference where the teacher took the assessments and broke it down in a way to show students everything that they were good at from the assessment. She didn't put any grades on it at first. She just put the things, this is what you did well, and this is what you need to improve upon. So really breaking down assessments to that point, and we can probably use some AI technology to help teachers to be able to do that, because I know some teachers are thinking, oh, well, it's just enough for us to get the papers graded. Now you want us to break the feedback down into what you did well and what you didn't do well. But this is where some of this new technology could be helpful.
And I think even I think it's worth us mentioning, because I think Lizzie makes a good point. And I don't think it just has to be on a written assignment or a test. Like
Hmm.
when you're talking to kids, and Lizzie's a great student. So you're talking about a student who is a student who probably is doing a good job all the time, is
Hmm.
saying, hey, give me something more than that. Let
Right.
me hear something that I know I'm doing a great job, but how can I get better?
Right.
So, it's awesome to hear a student want to be challenged. And I think we can think about that for students who may not be able to breeze through assignments, and they may be a little more challenging for
Mhm.
them. The same holds true. How can I get better? Don't just say, "Oh, well, Tammy's struggling." What can we do so that Tammy isn't struggling? So I think again, Lizzie, excellent point, honey.
Definitely. And she is a straight A student, so that's a really good point taken from her perspective. Accountability. How can adults help students more with accountability or in this area? What were your thoughts around that, Lizzie?
I feel like that some adults hold student accountable for more negative things instead of positive things. Like, for example, like, oh, you have to retake this assignment. You have to retake this assignment because you did bad on it. Oh, you push another student. You did bad on this assignment. I'm not gonna grade it. Like stuff
Mhm.
like that. Hold students
Mhm.
accountable for like that stuff. But if you hold students accountable for positive things, it will make them feel a little bit better.
Okay.
Like student gets like if a student like helps somebody succeed, like
Mhm.
adults tell us to like respect each other, and it'll be good. But
Mhm.
when you're like holding more students accountable for negative things instead of positive, it's kind of
Mhm.
you know
Right. So, a lot of times what is brought to the forefront are those things that students are getting corrected on from a negative standpoint. And a lot of times when we talk about positive behavior intervention systems, that's what we call it in education, Lizzie, PBIS. Some teachers think at the secondary level, and I'm talking from the secondary level, a lot of times when you mention PBIS, secondary people check out and say, oh, that's elementary. But Lizzie's a middle school student and is still desiring to hear positive or focus on positive things. So, with that negativity, or sometimes those negative actions are the things that's at the forefront or getting the attention, it puts a damper on things. So, PBIS is something that is needed for all levels. And what are your
Yes,
thoughts, Tammy?
I mean that's exactly what I heard when she was speaking about the reinforcements. She wants to hear positive reinforcements, not just corrections.
Hmm.
And that is the basic premise of having a PBIS system in place. And I didn't realize it didn't go into secondary because there is, I think, never a time when you can offer too much positive reinforcement because that's what you're expecting. And I think what I heard Lizzie say was you're asking us to respect each other, but all you're enforcing with us is when we do something negative towards one another.
Right.
So, where's the positive reinforcement in that? And where is the accountability for doing what's right? We're just addressed about doing what's wrong.
Exactly. And it does go into secondary. It's just that when we try to enforce it more at the secondary level, there's more of a resistance because the thinking behind it is, oh, that's what they do at the elementary school, or oh, that's elementary. And we could take a lot of notes at the secondary level from elementary because this is where we start to lose children when we start thinking that, oh, we're preparing students for this real world that is not fun. And that's not what we're doing. That's not what education is. So,
But I
uh,
will say this, I can, and I'm just speaking from experience because not only am I an elementary person, but I'm an early childhood person. So I'm talking about working with the youngest of the youngest, as far as what my pedagogy has taught me.
mhm,
But what I'm thinking when you say that is having had the opportunity to serve in secondary settings as instructional coach, as a math liaison, I know that in the some of the best classes I went in, they had some of the same principles. Good teaching is good teaching. They were
Mm-hmm.
using small groups in those classrooms, and they had great relationships with the students. They were
Mm-hmm.
allowing the students to work together. So I think Lizzie's spot on. We don't stop it when we graduate fifth grade.
Definitely. So the next part of the framework is literacy. What were your thoughts around that, Lizzie?
For literacy, teachers usually like make us read books and then we have to give an essay up on them.
Mm-hmm.
But this that just makes us like not really like reading. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you just throw a poetry book at somebody's face, it's just overwhelming because it's a lot of words and there's a lot of pages and it's just
Oh, you
overwhelming.
mean chapter books?
Yeah, chapter books.
Chapter books. Okay. Um,
Yeah. And
Go
so
ahead.
it's better to give like students poetry books because again, it's like easy to read. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's still a lot of pages, but like it's not a lot of words on one page, so it's like very comfortable.
Very
Yeah.
comfortable. Now, this somebody who's on a 10th grade reading level.
Right, but these kids do not want to see a lot of words on anything. Brittany sent me a text the other day, and Abby had the phone, and Abby said, "I said, Abby, give me the phone." She said, "Don't worry about it, Auntie and Tam. This is from my mama. She texts you something real long and it's boring. You don't need to read it." Who
And
cannot read the text completely yet? She's just already thinking too many words.
right. And I say 10th grade, I think it's even higher because I think I'm thinking about her math score. But now you are a person who is very fluent in reading, very much above grade level. Now, when you're reading things that you're interested in, what do you think about those books?
When students even I like read something that's we're actually interested in, it's
Mm.
like a breeze. Like we
Okay.
actually want to read it.
You do want to read.
So
Okay.
instead of
So,
like assigning students like books that we don't care about among books that some people don't feel comfortable with, I think it's better to like assign them books that they want to read and just do an essay off of that.
right. Which is
Choice.
also a big part of our framework, choice and interest based learning. Because when it is interest based, it doesn't feel like a chore, like something you don't want to do. If, like she
Yeah.
said, it doesn't feel like work. So that's how we want to keep our students engaged.
Definitely. And giving students options, I think, would help them to feel like they are part of selecting texts that they are interested in or that they really enjoy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we have a few minutes left, so we're going to round it out with leadership. What were your thoughts around leadership?
My thoughts on leadership is that students already feel like leaders. It's just that some teachers and some adults um kind of like don't make us feel like that because they have again we're like students. They have more control over us and and then if we're told what to do all the time, we kind of like don't feel like leaders. So
So
I
I
think
think
we
what
should
I
have
hear you.
some
Go ahead.
responsibility. I
Somewhat.
think we should have some like responsibility
Okay. And so what I
sometimes.
was gonna say is what I think I hear you saying is some more things that are empowering, like job assignments, things that
Hmm.
make you feel responsible. And I will say, as a parent, when I'm fussing, I'm saying, well, hey, I wouldn't have to fuss if people just showed up and did what they were supposed to do. So, we have to, if we want responsibility, we do have to take it and be responsible. But I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's important, Lizzie. And another really good point, and something I would encourage you to do with your peers, is that empowerment that students are looking for and that extra layer of responsibility also works by modeling for your peers what that needs to look like, and making sure that we're calling them out, like when you're not being responsible or you're not being a good leader, having that voice and some student agency there too, not just with the adults that are involved but with your peers too, saying like, oh, come on now, we are better than this. This is a better, we are wanting student leadership. Let's show that we're student leaders.
Most definitely. Well, thank you so much for your insights, Lizzie. I'm
Brilliance, baby girl.
very proud of you. You did a great job.
You
Say
are
goodbye. I'm gonna put you
amazing.
backstage.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Baby. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you. Oh. So this has been episode 142. It is Super Saturday. We started off with Principal Sean Hurt. Um, we're going to be joining Principal Kafele next on his page. So make sure you round out Super Saturday with Principal Kafele. And we thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your Saturday.
Yes, and the rest of your weekend.